In the annals of medieval history, the Crusades were a time of fervent faith and brutal violence, where holy purpose often gave way to unholy greed. Countless relics, both sacred and profane, were brought back from the Holy Land, but some were imbued with a chilling spiritual paradox. This was a curse born not of a single evil spirit, but from the immense concentrated hypocrisy and bloodshed of the Crusades themselves, the cursed relic of a Crusader. This was a curse that didn't harm the body, but slowly consumed the spirit, leaving an unending, internal conflict where a person's moral compass had once resided. Our story begins with Julian Croft, a cynical and ambitious antiquities dealer obsessed with acquiring a unique, high-value collection. Julian saw relics not as objects of faith, but as commodities, their value tied to their historical narrative, no matter how grim. He scoffed at the local legends of their curses, dismissing them as primitive superstition. He was particularly obsessed with a small, beautiful reliquary box, a relic said to have been carried by a Crusader knight who died in the Holy Land. Julian, in his arrogance, acquired the reliquary through deceit and betrayal of a rival. He opened it to find not a bone or a piece of cloth, but a small, unassuming shard of polished stone, stained with a faint, dark residue. He scoffed at its lack of material value, but kept it as a symbol of his victory. As Julian returned home, a subtle, insidious change began to plague him. He found himself filled with a profound, gnawing internal conflict. He would have sudden, vivid flashes of both fervent prayer and brutal violence. His once clear distinction between right and wrong became a blurred, agonizing mess. His passions, once so vibrant and full of purpose, now felt like two warring forces tearing him apart. He was not sad or angry. He was simply empty, a spiritual void. The true curse of the cursed relic of a Crusader was a spiritual infection of moral paradox. The reliquary, as a vessel of both faith and violence, had been imbued with the immense hypocrisy of its time. Julian, by acquiring it with a greedy and deceitful heart, had spiritually connected himself to its torment. The curse was an insidious psychological horror that slowly infected his mind with the same internal conflict and spiritual decay that plagued the Crusades, turning him into a living host for the echoes of its warring duality. Driven to despair by his own mental decline and the relentless internal conflict that plagued his life, Julian sought the counsel of a reclusive historian who understood the spiritual history of the Crusades. The historian explained that Julian had not simply acquired an artifact. He had invited a spiritual disease. The reliquary was a place of profound moral ambiguity, and Julian had violated its sanctity. The only way to lift the curse was through a profound act of humility and an honest embrace of peace. Humbled and broken, Julian made a desperate decision. He returned to a quiet, serene church, a place of peace and contemplation. He did not go to make a profit, but to seek forgiveness. In the dead of night, he placed the reliquary on the altar, not as a cynic, but as a penitent. He offered a simple prayer, acknowledging the profound hypocrisy of the Crusades and the profound arrogance of his own actions. He gave the reliquary to the church to be used as a symbol of peace, a testament to the fact that even in a time of violence, there can be a place for forgiveness. As he completed his act of restitution, a profound sense of peace washed over him. The spiritual conflict lifted, and his purpose returned, not as a drive for fame, but as a profound sense of duty to seek peace and understanding. The cursed relic of a Crusader, its memory finally honored, released its grip. Julian lived the rest of his life not as a celebrated antiquities dealer, but as a quiet advocate for peace and understanding, forever changed by the spiritual battle he had fought. The legend endures as a grim reminder that some curses are not brought by a monster's strength, but by its insidious psychological hold, and that the greatest battles are sometimes fought within the mind itself. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.